So the second game in the series between the All Blacks and France is done. All Blacks have won it 26 points to 13. Weird game. I mean, the obvious talking point is the fact that the French fullback foul got red carded after 11 minutes. After the debacle with last week's kind of yellow card to the French and non-yellow card to the All Blacks, what we didn't need was a card affecting the game. And about a minute or two later, the All Blacks got their first try through Joe Moody, and it looked like this game was just going to be blown out of the water. And I was kind of sitting here although I'm watching the rugby, I was a bit dejected, thinking, oh man, this is not going to be a contest, this is just sad. But man, did the French fight back. I mean, I should say that at the start of the game, the French had pretty much all the ball for the first kind of 10 minutes. If it wasn't for a knock-on over the try line, they would have opened the scoring with a try. They ended up getting a penalty. Sam Cane kind of cynically took the ball carrier of a maul that was going forward inside the All Blacks 22. Just a penalty, I guess, because that's an early in the game, just a penalty. If that's later in the game, it's probably a yellow card. But yeah, not long after they took that 3-0 lead, there was the red card, and you could see the ref. He was, Beauden Barrett went up to take a high ball. Fall kind of just didn't get off the ground. He had his eyes on the ball, but he ended up impeding Beauden's catch, and he just fell kind of head and neck first on the ground in one of the worst ways you can kind of hit the ground. John Kerwin at halftime was like, that's not a red card, that's a yellow card. But from what I've been watching of Super Rugby for this whole season, that's pretty much a red card all day long. So you could see the ref not really wanting to give it. He was looking through all the options for kind of an escape route to just go with a yellow, but when he was calling on the final footage just to check the point of impact, it was the head and he was gone. Beauden failed his HIA as well, which was interesting because that guy's got a bit of a history with concussions. So fingers crossed for the All Blacks he gets well soon, and for the Hurricanes. But one would imagine with the series now being in the bag that the All Blacks would probably give someone else a run anyway. It did give D-Mac a chance, Damien McKenzie, to have a run at 10. It wasn't fluid. It wasn't his best performance at 10. To be fair, sometimes he was catching the ball above his head from both TJ and from Aaron Smith, so can't say too much about him. But the whole All Blacks outfit wasn't slick by any means. The French did really well to slow the game down. One point the ball was flat when Para was taking a penalty shot. Managed to swap that out. The ref agreed that the ball was flat. And just managed to kind of control the pace of the game in a really clever way, which gave them a chance to kind of settle back into the game. Because unlike last week when they got the yellow card, it was just bam bam, 2 quick tries. This week the pacing was well slowed down and they managed to handle things pretty well up until halftime. Right before halftime, they did let in a try, so it was 21 points to 6 at halftime. Could have been 14 points to 6 if the French had just held on, or could have even been more for the French if they'd managed to convert that first try that they had that was just kind of knocked on right over the try line. Question at halftime for me was, will the French get tired, because they were doing amazingly well to stay in the game? But I mean, you can tell by the scoreline. Not really. It didn't seem to have too much effect. Halftime stats, the All Blacks had about 52% of the ball, which when you're playing 30 minutes with an extra man is not great for them. They did have almost 60% of the territory, but their tackling was only at 70%, and the French were getting through a lot of work at the breakdown. I mean, both sides were conceding a fair bit at the breakdown, but the All Blacks were, with a man over, just not really making a lot of that advantage. Like, it seemed like, as has happened a few times, sometimes when the team gets that man advantage, they kind of, I guess, just expect things to come naturally. Like last week when the All Blacks got the yellow card, some people said it in the comments, there was just like, they smell blood and they just went for the kill. This week, I guess they thought, oh man, we got 70 minutes to play with an extra man. I guess this is going to be like a training run, but it sure wasn't, and they were pretty loose. Second half started off well for the All Blacks. Damien McKenzie got a bit of space outside Bastareaud and managed to get that other try. I should mention Jordie Barrett got 2 tries. But yeah, D-Mac set that one up by just getting a bit of space. And yeah, that's one of the weaknesses, I guess, in Bastareaux's game is he does leave a bit of space on the outside. Perinara got yellow carded in the second half. Justin Marshall didn't seem to agree with it. I mean, I'm not one for really getting into the in-depth laws of World Rugby, but I'm pretty sure last year they changed that law that if you're the tackler, no matter what, you still have to come around the gate to pick up the ball. You can't just tackle and just jackal over the ball, but that's what TJ did, so he got yellow carded. The All Blacks had been warned, so I guess maybe he thought that time had passed between the warning and when the yellow card was given, that the All Blacks had kind of gone back to neutral ground, but no, Angus Gardner sent him off for 10 minutes. So there were, all in all, it was about 60 minutes with the All Blacks with the extra man. French weren't able to score during the yellow card, but they certainly put a bit of pressure on. They did have one try denied during the yellow card because the reserve hooker kind of propelled himself forward as he was being tackled right near the try line, kind of a double movement. So it's 2 tries the French could have had. One right at the start, one kind of towards the end. And you look at that scoreline and it was actually kind of costly. Story of this game for the All Blacks, I guess, it's just like handling errors, loose passes, poor kicks. Like I said, perhaps the pressure of the red card, thinking that they were going to run away like they did last week by 40 points. Were they in training run mode? I don't know. Too many penalties conceded for sure. Stats at the end of the game, run meters, virtually the same. Possession, more for the French. Territory, more for the French. So we're talking like 58% of the French for possession and territory. So doesn't seem like they had a man down just when you look at the stats, although it doesn't tell the full picture. But either way, it's definitely a moral victory for the French. Getting that final try to Gomez Sarr right at the end is kind of icing on the cake for them, even though you lose. I still think it was kind of fitting that they got that final try. They were just, smarter with the ball. 2 missed tries away from an amazing upset, but not really to be. Perhaps if they'd pushed the All Blacks a bit more, the All Blacks would have upped their gear. But yeah, they were just kind of cruising for most of the game. So yeah, I mean, the fact that towards the end of the game, 2 minutes to go, look at the crowd. A lot of empty seats. A lot of people had decided, oh geez, I'm going to beat the traffic and just get out of here early. So perhaps wasn't the most gripping of contests. Like the error rate was pretty high, and like I said, just a moral victory for the French based on the fact that they had a man sent off, on the 11th or 12th minute. So yeah, what did you guys think of the game? What did you think of Damien McKenzie at 10? The French performance, obviously going to have a few highlights. So yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts, and we'll look forward to Ireland and Australia getting underway in not too long. Alright guys, yeah, let me know your thoughts and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.